got married.
That's good to know.
I'm good when you're.
I gave mine.
Harry, you all set?
He's gonna do.
Call the public safety meeting to order. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Alanson.
Present.
First thing on the agenda.
First thing is a constable appointment for Adriano Dolce, 76 Neptune Street.
Is he here? No? Huh? Okay, that's the council's had a chance to look it over. What's the wish of the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Alanson.
Yes.
Is there anything else on the agenda?
No.
Nothing
for me.
else on the agenda?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Short and sweet. Good, good. Will do.
Freddie and who?
Long's here, so.
Oh, so it's just Wayne.
Show one. So Hogan's here. All right, licensing committee for Tuesday, September 27th. Roll call, please.
Counsel Field?
Present.
Present. Counsel Hogan?
Present.
Present. Counsel Lozey? Absent. Counsel Net?
Present.
Present. Counsel Allensburg?
Present.
Present. And, okay, that's it. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Some licenses for taxi operators.
Okay, we have new taxi operators, Omar Alvarez, 432 Broadway.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. What's the wish of the committee?
Motion approved. Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's granted. Your license will be ready Thursday morning in the clerk's office after 8:30. Thank you, Mr. Alvarez.
Okay, Gyro Cody Acevedo, 53 Smith
Vito's
Street.
here.
Motion to
We
approve.
have a motion approved. Do we have a
Second.
second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Your license will be ready on Thursday in the clerk's office after 8:30. Thank you, Mr. Azevedo.
And we have Sandra Gonzalez Gomez, 129 Allen Ave.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. What is the
Motion
wish
to
of the committee?
approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is granted. The license is granted. Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Your license will be ready on Thursday after 8:30 in the clerk's office. Thank you.
And we have Frank Reyes, 51 Franklin Street.
There is. He's here. What is the wish of the committee?
Motion to
We
approve.
have a motion to
Second.
approve. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? License is granted. Mr. Reyes, your license will be ready on Thursday morning in the clerk's office after 8:30. Thank you.
We have a new livery company, JL Limo Service, Inc., at 18 Phillips Ave.
Okay. Want to come to the podium? What is the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
approved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? License is granted for the livery company, and I think
Yep.
Mr.
The
Leary.
next is Jose Lariano, 18 Phillips Ave, is the owner of JL Limo Service for a new livery operator license.
What is the wish of the committee for that?
Motion to approve.
We have a Motion approved, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That license is granted for the new livery operator. Thank you. Licenses will be ready
Okay.
Thursday morning in the clerk's office after 8:30.
And we have another new livery operator for Ocean Transportation, Jeffrey Aronian, 101 Nahant Street.
Mr. Aronian's here. What is the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? License is granted. Your license will be ready on Thursday after 8:30 in the clerk's office. Thank you.
We have a new auto body, auto repair flammable license at 1127 Western Ave, Palmer, Boston Repair, Inc.
Okay. You're representing Palmer Inc. Thank you. That is Ward 6 or 7?
Could be
Seven.
Could be 7.
Ward
okay.
7. Sorry, Freddie,
I know
you
we
lost
found
it.
that out.
Okay. Have you spoken to the ward counselor? Have you spoken to Counselor Walsh yet? Yes? Okay. All right. Any objection
Oh.
from Jay?
Yes. I sent it to
Counselor
Jay.
Hogan?
I sent it to Jay also, so
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Counselor Hogan,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Net. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That license is granted. Your license will be ready on Thursday after 8:30 in the clerk's office. Thank you. Good luck.
We have a new auto body license at 35 Suffolk Street, Diamond Automotive. This is adding an auto body license to an existing auto repair business.
Suffolk Streets, which ward?
Suffolk Street is Councilor Calucci.
Counselor Calucci.
Lucci's not here.
Okay, he's not here. You reached out to the counselor, correct? You've spoken to Counselor
Oh,
Calucci?
yeah, this is gonna be on you, Counselor.
Approve it. I make a motion to approve that.
He is not. Do you want to come to the podium, please? Emily from the city clerk's office is able to translate if you need translation. Is that,
I'm Francisco Gonzalez. I'm
Okay.
assisting Mr. Reyes.
okay. Have you reached out to the ward counselor yet?
No.
No.
As far as we're
I make a motion to approve.
A motion
To approve.
to approve by Councilor Net. Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, that license is granted. Make sure you reach out to the ward councilor, please, and your license will be ready Thursday after 8:30 in the clerk's office.
Make sure we follow.
Thank you. And we have contact information if you need it in the city council office.
Okay, we have a transfer of ownership at 1071 Western Ave, Bay 4, R&J Auto Repair. The owner was James Bay, and he has transferred ownership to Jose Alvarado.
Present, thank you. What is the
Motion to
committee,
approve.
Counselor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, that transfer is granted. License will be ready Thursday after 8:30. Thank you for being here.
And we have a new location for an auto repair flammable license, 100A Central Ave, Los V Tires Auto Repair, that moved from 106 Chestnut Street.
Anyone here representing Los V Tires?
This is Ward 4.
Nobody. Make a motion to table?
It's just a new location.
This
Motion to
is-
table by Councilor Net,
Second that.
seconded by Councilor Allenson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion's tabled.
Okay, and last we have DBA name change at 240 Western Ave, JVS Auto Service, Inc., to just JVS Gas. Nothing else has changed except for the name.
Make.
Okay, he did reach out. Thank you.
Yes,
I'm all set.
go ahead.
Councilor Hogan?
All set.
Do we have a motion on the floor by any of the committee?
A motion to
We
approve.
have a motion to approve. Second?
I second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? License is granted. Thank you. No other licenses?
Nope. The only thing we have left is a discussion with the taxi companies
Okay.
regarding complaints on extra charges to customers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we've invited the taxi company owners from a representative from Tom's Taxi and from Union Taxi. Are you here? Could you come to the podium, please, and state your name and which company you represent? Again, Emily from the Assistant City Clerk is here for interpretation services, so if you do need interpretation services, Emily will be here to assist us during our subcommittee meeting. Thank you.
No, thank you. Yes, my name is Nivaldo P1 Jr., and I'm representing Tom's and Garcia Taxi.
Thank you. Is there anyone else representing Union Taxi? Emily? Anybody from Union Taxi? You want to check?
I think, yeah,
Do we have,
he's coming.
Okay.
is it Junior?
You representing Union Taxi? Yes. See? Okay. So for both companies, we oversee the licensing, as you just saw, and earlier in our meeting, but we also oversee complaints. And over the past number of months, we've received some complaints that we felt it was necessary for both companies to be represented here today for that discussion. Some of those complaints are revolving around extra fares. And we do understand that the price of gas has gone up, it's gone down, and it's been fluctuating, and I'm sure it's been a strain on the drivers themselves and certainly your companies. That's not something that this body oversees. That would be the ordinance committee, okay, for any increased request to subsidize those increases for the gas. What's not acceptable, and what we have to oversee as a body, is people that are on fixed incomes or whatever their situation is, being told by those operators that we're granting a license to, that represent your companies, adding increased fares in a threatening way to the fare riders, who many rely on your services to get to appointments, to get to grocery shopping, et cetera, okay? Our body is here to advise you to speak to your employees, not to allow this practice of requiring an increased fare because of gas prices. That's not something that's legal. That's something that we will revoke their license if it continues, but we felt the need for you both here representing your two companies to address those situations. So if you'd like to speak on behalf of your companies, you're welcome to in this forum. But consider yourselves warned by our committee of licensing that the complaints have been valid, and if they continue, we'll take whatever necessary steps we need to address those concerns. Okay? That's fine.
Okay. Yo entiendo. One second.
Please. While we're waiting, Attorney Lamanna, if you'd like to come to the podium and just kind of explain the difference between the licensing committee and the ordinance committee as far as how a company would request an increased fee because of, strains of higher gas prices, et cetera.
So the city council has an ordinance committee that makes amendments to ordinances periodically. And that ordinance committee is chaired by Councilor Wayne Losey. So that the taxi cab drivers, and my recollection is it's been a while since the city council has even considered a possible increase, whether it's warranted or not, that's for elected leaders. But that would go to the ordinance committee to make that decision, whether to support any adjustment upward or downward. This committee just ensures that whatever the ordinance committee has enacted is being followed, and that is $3.75 for the first quarter mile, and it goes up for each mile afterwards with a definite requirement the meter has to be running, which is another complaint that my understanding is that oftentimes, absolutely, I'm just explaining to the process moving forward.
Thank you, Attorney Lamanna. Please.
According to what you said about the meter, which is starting for $3.75 the first mile, and another 75 cents for the additional quarter mile. This is the prices that's been set up for 25 years. 25 years ago. If you go to the grocery store right now and trying to buy a milk, it's not the same price that it was 25 years ago. If you go to any of the store or whatever needs that you need in your house, prices went up. But these prices has been for 25 years the same. Sure. I understand that there's drivers out there that they doing that what they doing is not right. It's wrong, totally 100% wrong. Which is with me as a dispatcher, because I dispatch the company. I know and I face those complaints in the daily basis, and I tell them that it's wrong. But what we can do, I tell them that it's wrong, and they listen for 1 year, and from the other side, know what we can do about it. Do we sanction them? So I guess I propose you guys, I don't know if you're going to agree with me, to instead of that little carton that you gave us when we get the hacker license, we take pictures and put it like in front of the taxi so the passenger can see the picture and the number. So that way, if they had a complaint, they complain to you guys exactly with the number of the driver. So you know that the complaint goes to this guy. 1 fall, 2 fall, 3 falls, then you out.
And that's something that you all practice? You have
Excuse me?
The delivery operator, the taxi operator, in each of those vehicles has an identification piece for the
that's what
customer?
I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm asking you because what
You're asking us to require that?
Yes, because what you guys
We'll consider
giving
that
us,
at a future meeting.
okay, what you guys giving us is a piece of cardboard, which is it have our names, addresses, and the day that the taxi license was issued, and a little hacker license.
Yeah.
Fine. If somebody have complained about a driver, which is like charging more than supposed to, they call me sometimes, and I say, did you take the license plate? Did you know the number? Did you know the cab number? They don't know. They always call me before the things happen. I always tell them, why don't you call me at the same time that they trying to ripping you off, or they trying to ask you that you have to pay instead of $10? If you call me at the spot, I might be able to fix the issue right there. but they always call us when that happens, and I don't know who was the driver. Sometimes we know who was the driver. Sometimes we address the driver, and he listens for 1 year to, you know what I'm trying to say? So if you
No,
guys...
we certainly agree with you on that. Okay, but because of those complaints came through the office.
Yes.
Without identifying the driver, or the driver would be here today, we've asked the owners of the company, or a representative from the owners of the company, to have this discussion tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so this is our warning going forward. Please discuss it with all of your employees, that we have received multiple, this isn't a punishment, this is a
No,
warning.
I know,
This is
but...
considered a warning. You'll also receive something in writing for the owners.
But I'm pretty 100% that this is gonna continue, because there's about 100 apples. We have 99 good.
Yeah.
So one of them drops in the middle, and it start rotting, and it rock the whole thing.
Certainly does.
You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to do something to that driver that keep doing that. If when this driver get a sanction, not from me or from our company or from the mine, from you guys, then the rest is gonna be scared. They won't do that.
Our hope is to work together with you and with the owners of both companies to address these
I'm
issues.
just a simple,
So your
dispatcher
ideas-
that, you know, that I'm,
Your ideas that you've shared are welcomed.
Yes.
Those will be discussed at a future meeting as far as identifying who the drivers are. What the
Yes.
legal process is, we'll discuss with the attorneys in our law office to advise us as to what legally we can we can require of the drivers for identification purposes for the fares. But we appreciate the both of you being here representing your company tonight to address these issues that have been brought to our attention. Again, we're the licensing body. We grant licenses to all the livery operators or the taxi operators, and we have to address those complaints from time to time when they do arise. So that's what we're doing tonight. My suggestion would be to certainly reach out to Councilor Lozey, who chairs the Ordinance Committee. We share your concerns with inflated gas costs and other costs, but that's not our body that oversees that decision.
understood.
It's the Ordinance Committee, which represents the City Council, and bring those suggestions to increase fare, and that'll be held at a public hearing if you put forward that request. As far as the ideas for identification, we'll certainly reach out to the solicitor's office to see what's the appropriate remedies here that we can take moving forward. So we're protecting the companies and addressing the more personal issue of which drivers are those bad apples, like you said.
Something else. So what are we gonna do with the prices, with the prices that we already established, like $3.75 for the first mile, then 75 cents for the next quarter mile? We try to, and I know you guys as well want to do so. What about $5 to start the first mile?
And that's not this committee, that would be the Ordinance
That's not,
Committee. that makes that
that's what
decision.
you guys, okay, I got you.
Yep.
Anything else?
Okay, no, thank you. Attorney Lamanna, do you have anything to add? Okay, all right. So as far as discussion purposes, I don't think we need a vote on that. We'll certainly take up the issue with the solicitor's office and be advised by them. As far as the two companies that are represented here today, the clerk's office will send out a letter, a formal letter of notification for yourselves and for the owners about our discussion this evening in the licensing committee. Do we have any other business, Madam Clerk?
No new business. No other business.
What's the wish of the committee?
Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
One nay? Nay?
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
You were phenomenal.
I said twice, we have interpretation services.
No, you know, the chair. Oh.
Okay, we good? Because we late.
Good.
Brian, saw Diana. Luke's not here. The Public Property and Parks Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present Counsel Calucci? Absent. Counsel Chakutis? Absent?
She's here.
She is here,
She is
yes. Okay, and Counsel Field?
Present.
Counsel Chakutis?
Thank you. 2 items on the agenda. 1, discussion regarding request from the Health Department to use the foyer front steps in the grassy area in front of City Hall for the first annual Recovery Month celebration on Tuesday, September 27th.
Motion.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded. Further discussion, roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, and Counsel Field?
Yes. Okay, second, we have a request from the North Shore Juneteenth Association to use the foyer during the month of February 2023 to hold the Black Excellence Awards on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at 6:30. Install Lynn Black Excellence banners in the foyer in anticipation of the February 7th event, and to leave the display up for public viewing during the remainder of Black History Month. From my recollection, this is similar to what we approved this past year, and I think pre-COVID, there was also the celebration on one of the nights there, recognizing all of the folks. So we have Wendy Josephs with us from North Shore Juneteenth Association, if anybody has any questions. If not, what is the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve?
Motion's been made. Second. Seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes.
Any other business?
No other business.
Motion to adjourn. Motion been made.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
You know it's coming. Poked me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, I would like to call the meeting to order. Please roll call.
Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present Counsel Barton? Present Counsel Chakutis? Present Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present.
Madam Clerk, could you please read transfer?
We have one new transfer, $1,432.84 from the Fire Department expense to the fire bill of prior year for an invoice received after the warrant was done and the FY end close process began.
What is the wish committee?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Certified funds, please.
First certified fund is $27,750 to the school department for the FC 734B Evidence-Based Early Literature Grant.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. $200,000 to the school department for the Incubator Lynn Grant.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. $80,000 to the school department for the McKinley-Vento Grant.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
And that's
So-
all we have.
Any new business?
No new business.
No new business.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Motion
adjourn.
adjourned.
We need an emergency on any of that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Any emergency on this? No, no emergency. Okay, it's great. So, motion to adjourn.
Adjourn then.
So the meeting is
Adjourn.
adjourned. Thank you very much.
Second.
told me you'd give me $5.
Oh, I said $2. Good evening, everyone. Today, September 27, 2022, I would like to call the Utilities Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Council Alanson?
Present.
Present. Council Lozey? Absent. Council Jacutis? Present. Present. Councilor Calucci? Absent. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Council Staben?
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We only have one item on the agenda. This is more like an open forum conversation. And, you know, if you live in the east part of the city, last month we have a terrible, terrible experience with heat wave. And on top of that, we lost power for several days and long hours. And it was a very chaotic time in the area of the city where we have to call the fire department, the police, we have to transport our seniors, we have to call relatives of our senior citizen so they can move to hotels, they can move to relatives' house at the comfort with their relatives, where it's really unbearable. So we're here to learn from that experience, right? We're here to listen to our constituents and our residents. Some of them sent email and letter, and our clerk will read them. And some of them are here. A lot of them lived in Lynn all their lives and have experiences with National Grid, both good and bad. So again, we're not pinpointing anybody here. We're just here to learn and make sure that this will not happen in the future. So this is a 30-minute subcommittee meeting, so we'd like to request our guests from the National Grid to do a quick presentation, and then we'll open it for public hearing right after that.
Oh, okay. And did you want me to read after? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Faith Hassel. I'm the Community and Customer Manager for the City of Lynn from National Grid. And I have Stephen Pericola with me, and he's our System Engineer for the local area.
Can you just put it close to your mouth?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So some of you should have a presentation to follow along with. So on the first slide, I just want to give a quick overview to talk about how this section of the ward is fed electrically. So on this map, what we call a feeder map, which is how we feed the electricity to the community, there are three things to note. So a solid dashed line on the by like Kings Beach and the Lewis Street area, that symbolizes an underground cable. The solid lines, so like the red and the purple and parts of the green, are the overhead distribution lines. And then the smaller, thin dashed lines near like Marshall School means that it's a single phase overhead. So the solid lines are the three phase, where there's 3 wires on the pole. Single phase means there's 1 wire on the pole. So just to give you an idea of how our system operates, when there's an outage, there are points within our system called ties, and we use those ties to backfeed and to provide alternate electricity to the outage, to the area that has the outage, and kind of isolate the outage, bring the number of customers that are out to as minimal as possible. So throughout our entire system, we have these ties that allow us to do that. So if you go to the second page, to just quickly talk about how we restore power. So while underground is usually more aesthetically pleasing, it can be a lot more difficult to repair because you can't see it. So you're testing cables in different sections and working to identify where the actual fault is. So once we detect that there's a fault, customers call in, we start to see that there's significant outages. We will use those ties in our system to connect the customers to alternate feeders. So on the first page, that map. Maybe we can connect some of the, if the purple area is out, we connect them to the red lines, or if the green lines are out, we'll connect them to the blue lines, whatever is available. And the way we determine availability is how much load is on the alternate feeds. So once we've safely done all of the tie-ins and isolated the outage and reduced the number of customers out, then we go and make the repair. So next page, the outage overviews. So from this slide, Counselor, you had mentioned last month you had a string of outages back to back, right? So
It's back to back to back.
correct, yes. The 6th, 7th, 8th, and then again on the 9th. So the first one that we have on the list from 7/16, a landscaper dug into our cable and caused an outage. So that's one way we can get outages, is if things aren't properly marked out, customers will dig into our cable, cause an outage, we go out and repair it. Then on August 6th, we had an underground cable fault. So there are 2 feeders that we're going to talk about, and we have a naming convention in the utility world. So there's the 1J901 and the 21J25, which is how this area is fed. So on August 6th, we had an outage on the 25J25, and we repaired that cable fault. The next day, we had another fault on that cable, and when we had that cable fault, we did the whole process of tying people in, using those ties in our system to connect the people that were out to an alternate source of energy. What happened on that particular day, when we were tying the customers on the 21J25 to the 1J905, sorry, wish we could come up with an easier naming convention, the 1J901 ended up locking out because it was overloaded because of the high heat. So there was a capacity issue. We went to do the tie-ins, and the feeder just locked out, as it typically would, because that's the system operating. It recognizes that it's over its limit, and in order to protect the cable from actually deteriorating or overheating, it'll lock out and it'll de-energize. So we found that on that day, when we transferred to that alternate feeder, that the phases on that feeder were off balance. So there were 3 phases, phase A, B, and C, and one of them was already overloaded, and we needed to, there was an imbalance, so you want equal balance between each phase. And we didn't have that at that time, and then when we transitioned everybody to that feeder, it locked out. So then we made the cable fault repair that day, come back the next day, and there's another cable fault on the 21J25, the same one that had the fault on the 6th and 7th. Again, a lot of it has to do with capacity issues, heat wave, lots of usage, and heat in general deteriorates and causes these faults to happen. Right, Steve? Okay. So then, also on the 8th, we had another fault on the 1J901, and there was an insulation failure, again, heat-related, lots of usage, reaching its capacity, and it faulted. And then the next day after that, unfortunately, August 9th, we had an additional outage because a parking stand broke and damaged something from our transformer. So string of back-to-back outages. I mean, definitely hear your concerns, Counselor, and I'm happy to hear from the residents as well. Definitely not ideal, especially during a heat wave. So what we plan to do on the last page, so like I mentioned on the 1J901, the feeder is now balanced, so there's as equal of a balance between each phase, A, B, and C. We also have the Fayette Street substation being rebuilt. So it just kicked off a couple weeks ago, and it'll be about 10 to 12 months for us to completely rebuild that substation. That's actually going to bring more capacity into the area. So things like capacity issues will hopefully not be an issue. And then we're also planning on installing additional ties into this area, this system, so that we would have backups, more backups to, oh, those are complete. So there will be other opportunities for us to tie in customers via other alternatives. For the 21J25, we did repair all of the cable faults. This cable is newer, so we don't suspect, we're not anticipating more of this to happen. We'll continue to monitor it and, do everything we can. If we identify things that are abnormal, we'll work to repair them as soon as possible. But it is a newer cable, so that is a good thing. That's it.
Thank you. To those who are watching tonight, I will download this and post it in our social media so you can see the actual map and information that we were just discussing here. Number two is that I know it was a very tough decision and very tough time last month. And, I'm glad Council President Walsh is here because I was needing his help, and he was the one really guiding me along the way. So thank you for that. I know I would like to hear more with the residents as well, because they also really want you to pay attention to what they have to say, because they will give you a historical a background with what's happening in that area. Because if we have issues, why that area, right? So Council Walsh, let's start with you if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you explaining it. It can be pretty technical in some of these things, but I think it goes down to the basics where the need is there. And as we look to the future, and we're looking at electric cars, people are buying, people are putting heating systems in that are being using electricity, the upgrades that you're looking at now, are we factoring those things in to this grid? Because it seems right now during the summer when the air conditioners have always kind of kicking in and overloading, that's when our problem was. But I can see this coming, that's going to be a more regular occurrence now if we're using more energy and as we switch to that. Is that something that you guys are looking to do? Or
The answer to the question is this upgrade was planned years ago, and already, so it wasn't, we just weren't going to do this just because this happened. This was already planned to be in service for next year. But the issue of the electric cars on the lows, that's a big issue, and I don't know if our company's really fully, that's a big issue altogether itself. But I would say that the load improvements that we've had in the area is going to cover basic air conditioning and everything else. So I don't think that'll be any problem there. The car charging and everything else, that's going to be a big overall issue. It's kind of a global issue. But as far as load in the area, this work we're doing here, this will cover it. And in addition to add what Kate, what Faith said was that typically we allow for this if something fails on one circuit the customers are on. We allow load on other circuits to pick it up, and there's a balance there on if it happened right now, pick it all up. On a couple of days of 100-degree temperature, it pushes the limit. Sometimes you have to offload a circuit behind it and move it over. And when she mentioned the imbalance of the loads between the circuits, that can creep up over the years as new load is added, and we try to keep track of it. So once you swap some load onto another, you may get out of balance. So that's what kind of unfortunately happened here. And we do have work in progress and done to address it. So.
all right, thank you. I just want to make note that this is something that has to be anticipated. It seems like sometimes in business or even in government, we get to a spot we're doing an upgrade and it's already obsolete. That's what I'm trying to say. So we should be thinking about this going forward, and just otherwise it's going to be continuous blackouts and issues with that. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council President. Let's open this for public hearing. Are you guys comfortable sitting here so they could see face to face? Yeah, go ahead. If you could sit here, and let's open this for public hearing, because I really want you guys to take down notes just in case, or I'll email you a link of this video so you could, again, review what the questions and inputs. We're all here together to help the city, so thank you. Yes, please. Feel at home. Who would like to speak first? Calvin, go ahead. And then you're next.
Calvin Anderson, 12 Concord Street in Lynn, and just outside this affected area, but I've moved from a neighborhood that was affected over and over. And Council President Walsh hit the nail on the head about planning ahead, because there's cities and states that are now mandating no fossil fuel construction in new living in, I guess, commercial buildings into the 30s. So cars are just going to be the tip of the iceberg. We have an electric future. I'm just wondering, instead of coming up and dealing with things on an emergency basis, are there some red flags that go up, learning from not only this but other experiences, so you know where the weak points are, so you can stay ahead of the curve on those things? And I'm just saying, I'm a type of guy that likes to plan ahead 30 and 40 years. We have to.
You don't have, if you have answer, you can answer. If not, then you can just write down notes.
You have I can speak.
Oh, go ahead.
So we do have programs where it's 10, 15, 30 years out of how we plan our infrastructure upgrades. Like Steve was saying, this Fayette Street substation has been in the works. I hear your point. This area had been identified as an area that we did need to add the ties into the system. So there are certain red flags that come up. It's just a matter of how quickly can we act. Unfortunately, they didn't make it for this incident, but for the next one, it'll be there.
Yeah, we monitor these areas continually, and this was actually it's still no good answer, but it was a real stress test of 100 days, 100-degree days in a few days, and we haven't seen that in a long time, and it broke. Yes, I'm a Neanderthal with this company too. I've been with this company 33 years, so I worked on the rebuilding of when that outage, the substation on Linway blew up, and I am the engineer on rebuilding that sub. So we basically have it all done except for tearing down the old building. So that was in the works yet.
The Maitlands. Go ahead, Councilor Starbird.
Hi, Faith. Just a quick question. If the new substation on Orange Court had been online, would that have prevented any of these outages, maybe aside from the one where the landscaper dug it up?
Yes.
Okay, so moving forward, once that new substation's operational, that
Yes.
should alleviate some of these problems down there.
Yes.
Okay.
Maitland.
Sorry, it's on target for by July 1 next year.
It starts getting super hot.
Go ahead. Name and address.
All right. My name is Duncan Maitland. I'm here with my twin brother, Douglas. We have lived at our current address, which is 41 Linshore Drive, since January of 1977. From those early years to about 15 to 20 years ago, we were subject to frequent power outages, with National Grid doing nothing or very little to fix permanently our completely outdated grid located on the Ocean Street side of Christopher's Cafe. The person who was finally able to bring National Grid to task was a woman by the name of Renee, who lived on Bassett Street and was also president of our Neighborhood Crime Watch group. Renee received the same non-response attitude from National Grid as we had for years, and this made her all the more determined to finally reverse the status quo. It took her a lot of time, but she finally found that National Grid was not replacing double poles in Lynn the way they always did in a timely manner in other neighboring communities. We believe that she found that either the city or state had an ordinance requiring their replacement within a certain period of time. She took this information to an executive of National Grid who was not only more than willing to listen to her, but even took the time to address her Crime Watch group as well. The fix took some time and involved several outages during the work. With the work complete, we were finally told we never should have a problem again, and that we were finally updated to where we should have been in the very beginning. Well, our new status lasted up until about 7 months ago, when we finally lost our power. That time paled in comparison to the future and the absolutely unbearable heat wave when we had our power for loss for 3 times on 3 consecutive days: Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That Sunday, it went off about 4 p.m., and because of the prior day's loss and its length, with no lights, no fans, and the oppressive heat buildup inside, we decided to sleep in our car, opening all the windows and doors with the car being parked in our driveway. That worked fine, and we did sleep until the skies opened up with a torrential downpour. We both got soaked. The Monday outage caused us problems as well, since we were on the telephone doing business with the absolute best Verizon rep we could have ever hoped to talk with, and the outage caused an instant cutoff. The next day, we called Verizon back, and they claimed they absolutely could not and would not locate that same rep for us to complete our transaction. The other incident our neighborhood has experienced with National Grid involves the telephone pole at the top of Pierce Road, where that road connects with Ocean Street. That pole had been crooked for years and had finally lost all of the support trees through old age that kept it at least steady. National Grid finally decided that a thicker and stronger pole was needed, and when installed, that pole ended up with a greater slant than the pole it replaced on the same day of replacement. How is this possible? And National Grid has refused to either straighten or replace it. What does our neighborhood require of National Grid? 1, we need to know exactly what caused the outages, as well as what corrective action they will take to make sure our neighborhood will never again experience outages 3 days in a row during the hottest week of the entire year. 2, we need the telephone pole at the top of Pierce Road at Ocean Street either straightened or replaced. 3, since the rest of the city of Lynn knew nothing about our 3 outages on consecutive days, we would like this committee to consider some type of a resolution to be brought before and voted on by the City Council to require National Grid to put a legal notice in our paper of record, the Lynn item, when, say, more than 100 customers or some other applicable number lose their electricity. We are still shocked and disappointed that the Lynn item had no story on our devastating 3 days of hell we suffered on the hottest week of the year. FOA. We would also suggest, for safety reasons, that it would help the public if National Grid trucks place either the letter E or G after the title National Grid, so that everyone would know if that truck services the electric for E or gas for G, part of the huge company called National Grid. Without those designated initials, the general public remains totally in the dark of the primary function of any truck just labeled National Grid. The other thing that I'd like to bring up is that we still don't know how long that electricity was off from National Grid's presentation on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Could you give us that information, please?
We have 5 minutes to wrap up this meeting because we have a council. So I would like for you, if you can share information with the Maitlands, and then we'll continue the conversation. And whatever report, we will release it for others to read as well. If that's okay? Yeah. Mr. Maitland? Councilor Chakoudas, please.
I have a question. I know Eastland lost power in Ward 3. This year, Ward 5 and 6, the upper part of Pine Hill, they've lost power a lot this year also. I'll get the list of the streets, but they've probably had 3 or 4 power outages. So I think the neighbors up there need to know what's going on if something has to be replaced up there also.
Sure, I can look into
So
that.
we'll get you that information on the streets that were with the power outages up there.
Perfect.
May I ask, is that the area along Boston Street near the old Inn Hospital in that area?
Woodlawn,
Yeah.
well, Woodlawn Street, Ontario Street, Bellevue.
We had a piece of cable that reached the end of its life, and we've planned to replace it, but we also redirected them to another location and put in more equipment, so that is being replaced and dealt with. We're aware of those outages. Yes, I was heavily involved in those too, to get replaced equipment. We can follow up.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one more speaker. If we could just, Charlene, if we can make it brief. This is also from another area of the city, not specifically.
I was once Ward 5 until we got redistricted. I miss you. And on July 21st, we had a power outage at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. It was reported right away, and we did get power back, but not until 7 o'clock that evening. You know, it was just brutal. I had to leave my house like Mr. Maitland. My loft was 86 degrees. And, you know, I'm going to tell you something that I don't like to say because it involves politics. I ran into the crew leader when I was coming back from the beach. And very nicely, I asked him, I live in that building, is our power back on? And he said, hell no, you can blame Joe Biden for this. And I was shocked, and I have that documented. And they sat behind our building for a total of 4 hours, just talking, eating, snacking. No work was being done. And we felt like they flipped the switch at 7 o'clock. And it came back on at 7 o'clock that evening. And I have lived in this building for 17 years, and we have had numerous power outages, and they were in our building. And they had the truck parked up the street. We don't get any updates. And, you know, like I said, my unit was 86 degrees. There's some other older people in the building. And we just don't get the response from National Grid.
I see them writing down, so.
Okay, thank you.
Do you mind just sharing the address?
Address, please.
589 Essex Street.
Justin?
Very brief. When I look at your, thank you for the presentation, thank you to the chair of the committee and President Walsh for his comments, but with the outage overview, I'm watching the 21J25 line where it's an underground fault, and with your plan overview for just repairing the underground, but there's no new ties being installed, is that because of the nature of the failure, or is that for some other reason, and would it be good to add new ties into that line, just so if there's more underground faults, it can still provide power to some of the customers?
On the map, it doesn't show the new ties that are being made. It just shows the existing ones. So that's what's on there now.
Yep.
And,
But I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry,
the plan overview for your 21J25 line, it doesn't have anything that says that it's adding additional ties as part of that plan overview to remedy any problems.
Okay, part of the problem was the tie circuits that back up the 25 were also overloaded. We are increasing their capacity so they can take even more load and cascade load through it. If that answers your question.
Thank you.
And just want to add that the gentleman that mentioned before was, just to add that there were, he was correct. I've been here 20 years and the outages were, I would admit, very horrible in Lynn over the years, many. And we have replaced much of that older new cable with new duct banks that you've probably seen on Union Street, Broad, Lewis, and that too. So that's been part of it. He was right. There was many outages weekly in Lynn, and that's cut down. And even though the cable is newer, anything can fail. And
I was just one more for just the general idea is we're looking for the proactive, not the reactive, of saying, well, how can we mitigate any problems that come up and what we could do to advance. And as the city provider, we're really looking for help where you're the expert. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge, before we close this, thank you, to acknowledge we also received a letter from Joe Thornton from 34 Ocean Street. I will submit this letter to you guys, and if you could reach out to Joe, I would appreciate it. What's the wish of the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Thank you. Councilor, how are you?
Call the council meeting to order. Roll call.
Counsel Alensig?
Present.
Present Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Calucci? Absent Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel Hogan?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present Counsel Lozey? Present. Present Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Starbird?
Present.
Present Counsel Walsh?
Present. We all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. A motion to accept the minutes from September 13th.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Communication, presentation by His Honor the Mayor. You want to come on up? Yep. Always good to have you here, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the council for inviting me here to share an update on the American Rescue Plan Act and the process that we're going through here in the city of Lynn. So as you all know, this body approved our Phase 1 allocation in July, which is about $35 million. And what we said then was to expect a second round to happen in the fall. So we are here in that window for the Phase 2, and applications are open for folks to submit proposals for the expenditure of the ARPA fund. So that was an announcement that we made with Councilor Field in his role as council liaison in the last week or so. The application window is going to be about a month. For people that already applied, we're asking for very short forms to just reiterate their interest, let us know if anything's changed. So there's a short application form for folks that already applied. And then the window is open for new applications. So that's going to be the same form that it was in the previous round. We, working with our consultants, the team at CSS, who you all have been working with over the last year, are offering appointments for individual applicants who have questions about the application to provide one-on-one assistance counseling as they fill out the applications. So they will be doing that. I should remind everyone that they will let people know what the application requires and advise people on the application and let them know if a project is eligible or not. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get funded, right? Because we will receive, unfortunately, more applications than we can fund, and so there's going to be applications that are eligible that could be a great idea that just don't make it because, you know, as much of an opportunity as this is, it is a limited window of funding. So the process from here is to accept applications over the next month until October 17th. We'll review those applications and release, like we did last time, a proposed allocation for comment, and then are targeting a request to this council to vote at the end of November. We are working hard to get the Phase 1 projects out the door. There's been a lot of work going into compliance and funding efforts for the Phase 1 projects, and those are all in motion. Some of them are sort of more straightforward than others to start, but the ones that have a process, we are moving full speed ahead with those processes. Just a reminder, when we're talking about the ARPA funds, we like to drive home the reminder that these are one-time funds, and so we're looking for one-time expenses as a general matter, and it's also time limited. We need to make these decisions about how to allocate them, and then the monies need to be spent by 2026. One of the benefits of having broken this up into two rounds is that we get all the learnings from the first round that we can take into the second round, the feedback we got from the community, some of the trends that we saw. And you'll recall, I think, we made the point that in the first round, there were a handful of applications, in particular issue areas, that we saw an opportunity for us to make an investment and wanted to see some more coordination among the different folks that are working in those areas. So topics like food security, workforce development, housing are all topics where we've been hard at work, my team, and as well as the project applicants, the teams that are doing this work in the city of Lynn, to try to coordinate in preparation for Phase 2 submissions on those priorities. And then, of course, we'll see. We'll be open to the community about what other ideas there are for Phase 2. So I want to thank Councilor Field for his partnership as we go through this effort, and thank all of you for all your collaboration as we look to make the most of this opportunity.
Great, thank you. Could we take a couple questions from the councils?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilor Lozey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that update on the ARPA money, and thank you, Councilor Field, and everybody for all of the good work that we're doing. And I'm just curious, how much money has been actually spent or committed from the ARPA money since the beginning?
Yeah, so under the previous administration, it was about 12 million or so allocated for the HVAC projects for city buildings. And then right when we got into office, we started thinking about wanting to go through a process to get feedback and to run a process that was inclusive and transparent. But we also saw some very pressing needs. So you'll recall that we came to you in January, right at the very beginning, to ask for approval for ARPA allocations for those pressing issues. One of them was COVID-19 and some of the COVID response work, and the other was grants for small businesses that were suffering, particularly with the Omicron wave. So that was $3 million in grants to small businesses. The vast majority of that is out, has been given out to small businesses, and that has been a great partnership with EDIC and a lot of the community organizations to distribute that money. So that was in January, and then the $35 million round was what we just did in July. So that was a mix of a few projects that we asked the council to approve in June because it was part of the budget process, and some wanted to get a jump on some of the procurement for that city equipment that we were procuring, and then the balance of that were the projects that we presented in July. So the July round was about $35 million. We're looking at about $20 million or so left for round two, and it's not entirely an exact amount because there's going to be, and there already has been, a project here or there that doesn't end up coming to fruition for whatever reason. It becomes cost prohibitively more expensive than what was initially thought, or the other funding doesn't fall into place, or whatever it is. And there is also an effort being done to try to make sure that we are making the most of different funding streams. And so as different funding streams become available, if there's ways for us to mix and match to sort of make the most of the flexibility that the ARPA provides, we're going to be doing that. The Treasury has a formula that it uses to calculate the amount of money that can be used for expenditures that are outside the main categories, the public health being one of them, and that amount of money, that's called the revenue replacement. And that has the maximum amount of flexibility. So that's something that our team is doing on the back end to try to figure out what can go in that bucket and what can't. So there is a little bit of a moving target in terms of the actual number, but what we're targeting for is the 20 million as the remaining amount.
Thank you. Just a follow-up point, and I don't know the answer to it, but sustainability projects are very important, where we can enter some kind of a project that would bring a return to the city, enable future funding, like any kind of renewable energy. And I've been working with your office, you and your office, and I'm a very big proponent of renewable energy and how sustainable that would be. That if we can spend some of this ARPA money for a sustainable project that will generate revenue for the city, I think is a no-brainer. And I just want to urge you to really look at that, Mr. Mayor, and hopefully we can use some of this ARPA money for a good project like that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Councilor Lozzi, and I appreciate your work on this and your advocacy. And absolutely, we will take a look at those considerations. It's certainly a goal of this administration to be pursuing sustainability and renewable energy, and we'll continue to attack that from different angles. We've actually had discussions with representatives from the federal delegation. We are looking at a lot of big opportunities coming our way, particularly with the Inflation Reduction Act, and there are likely going to be various sources of funding to pursue those kinds of projects. And so I think what we'll be able to do, and the flexibility that we have in this position is we'll be able to take a step back and think about what potential funding sources are available for which priorities, and really try to take a maximum advantage of the flexibility from the ARPA funds, and really try to hit home the priorities that I think we've all established here about addressing the impact of COVID-19 on our communities.
And last thing, I just want to point out, you did mention how making the most of all the funding, and I know that it's easy to kick that can down the road because I've been trying for 10 years to do a renewable energy project with the city, and I know that money is hard to come by, and we can't count on grants or various programs that are out there. We had the turbine. We got a $400,000 grant, but, that didn't cover the $1.5 million that it cost. And I hate to see the door close on ARPA money for a sustainable project like this and the opportunity and making the most of it, as you said. Let's really take a hard look at that and not depend on 10, 20% grant programs that the city can't afford. And so really it has to, from my perspective, from what I've looked at in my experience, we really need to look at this close, that ARPA money has to be put aside for that if we can at all possible. So I urge you, Mr. Mayor, to take that close look, and I'd be happy to work with your office, and I'm sure my other colleagues are all in the same sentiment on that.
No, I really appreciate you sharing the perspective, Councilor Lozzi, and absolutely excited to work with you on it. And I know that this is something that my team and others from the broader team in the city have been looking at and working on. And I think there's definitely a great project there, and we will continue to give it a close look. And I do think it's important for us to really take that deep dive, particularly in the Inflation Reduction Act. It was really a generational piece of legislation that's going to create funding opportunities like there haven't been in the past. So we will be looking hard at that as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Alingsu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you also to Councilor Field, who regularly updates us about ARPA. But with the cue from Councilor Lozzi said, I hate the door closed. Is that what you said?
I did.
Yeah, I learned some English here and there. But one thing really that happened in the first phase is there was a meeting, and they were submitted a list of beneficiaries. And we just found out that day that who are the recipients of the first phase. There's no way for us to learn about who are the organizations or individuals who didn't get that, that money for the first phase. My question is, for the second phase, because it's closing, that's the last allocation of money, is there a way for an appeal committee, for example, if an organization is not getting any from that second phase, is there a way for them to appeal the allocation and get an answer from the mayor's office why and what are the policies given there?
So I think, in terms of the list of applicants, that was something that we worked with Councilor Field on, and so we've brought the council, I think, up to speed on all of that. So, more than happy to walk through that list at any moment. We worked hard for my team, we followed up with the individual applications that received, did not receive funding, and we will absolutely do that in the second round as well.
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor LaPierre.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have more of a comment, piggybacking on my colleague, Councilor Lozzi. I just did a quick Google search, Mayor, and the closest electric charging station for Lynn residents is about 3.8 miles away in Saugus. And the next one is in Peabody, and the other one is in Boston, over 10 miles away. So thinking in those bigger, broader, and I know this doesn't significantly poll well, let's say, on a survey, but if we're going to commit to sort of a greener, as we are a green community, and I think we were just awarded a substantial amount of grant money for the very first time in becoming a green community, we have to look at the totality of becoming more green, and the more electric vehicles that are on our roads, folks need to have the resources, or at least the access, to charge them in public places. So if we can also be mindful of that in this round. I don't know the costs. I don't know how. We have people that I'm sure can provide a cost analysis. But that is sustainable. That is I think, an attractive benefit to those residents who are trying to do right by electric vehicles and in our community and our environment. And I just think it's a shame that people who live in the city of Lynn have to travel outside of the city if they're not afforded like a home charger, let's say, for their vehicles, that they have to go to the Square One Mall, for example, to charge their vehicle. So it's something that I thought of as Wayne was discussing more environmentally projects of renewable energy and so forth. So if that's something that we can prioritize as well, I think that will go a long way for the residents of the city.
Yeah, thank you guys for that, Pierre. So I agree that we should be working on bringing electric vehicle chargers to the city, and we actually do have an effort in place that's working on that. It's working as well with National Grid to bring that to life. And so, you know, if there's a particular need that we identify and gap, we'll absolutely take a look at that. But I do just want to share that that is something that we are working on. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, any other questions? Councilor Field.
Not so much a question. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. Just to touch on what Councilor Allensing had asked. I know personally that there's follow-up as far as those that were not approved or even approved at the amount that they were hoping to get through that first round. There has been significant outreach, particularly to everyone after that first round from the mayor and his team. It's not something that we as councilors have been involved in, but there has been meetings, hour-long meetings. Councilor Allensing was at one of those housing meetings to listen to the concerns of the advocates for everybody that maybe didn't get what they were hoping. And I think the way that the mayor and his committee have it set up where to reapply is an easier form. I think that's kind of the key here for those people that felt that they were left out and what they did wrong. Or oftentimes it's not even that they did anything wrong. It's just the way this has been set up from day one is it's been an open, transparent, inclusive process that many of us here have participated in along with the mayor to get that initial outreach, to get those percentages of what the community really wants to see, what we need, and how to spend this money. It's a generational opportunity here for many, and we're making tough decisions. I know they're making tough decisions, but there's definitely been outreach to people that and how to apply and how to reapply and move forward. And certainly there's going to be some disappointment at the end of this fall when we have to take that final vote, when that final penny gets spent and how it's going to get spent. But I think, looking at what CSS has done, it's built an outline for us for a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and going forward for other funding sources that the mayor had mentioned from the federal government moving forward. So just to reiterate on Councilor Allensing's question, there has been a number of outreach, a great outreach from the mayor and his team. So I applaud them on that, but that's something that maybe I haven't mentioned to everybody here. It's just kind of the behind the scenes and the approach here. So I thank the mayor and his team for doing all that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Field. If I could just add, I think it's a great point, and I think it's one last thing I want to say is I just want to thank everyone that submitted an application, because it does take a lot of work and it does take a lot of time, and you get your hopes up, and people are doing great work. And like the councilor said, we will not be able to fund every application, and we could have done this differently, where we doing that instead of opening up, we kind of went and did our own thing, and we felt like the value of opening it up and getting everyone's ideas was going to be worth some of the disappointment that people face when we're not able to get to them. So I just wanted to thank all those who are participating for their participation and their feedback.
All right. Any other questions? Just one thing I'd like to say, thank you for your time here explaining and for everybody, and I want to thank Brian and everybody here that's worked on it. I think one of the unique things that we have here is the council has a say on some of this money, which I think is even more transparent when it comes to a lot of other communities. They don't have that opportunity. So those things were put in place before, and I think, in a good way for us to be able to have a say. So I appreciate that, and I want to echo the car charges. It's probably not an ARPA fund thing, but I think that something down on the waterfront specifically, maybe even the ferry terminal, would be a great idea, but I think that's for another time. But I want to thank you. Thanks for coming, Mr. Mayor. It's always good to have you. And anytime you want to come up, let us know, all right?
Thank you so much, Council President. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Communications.
We have the following communications from His Honor the Mayor. Dear councilors, I am hereby appointing the following members to serve on the Board of Trustees for the Grand Army of the Republic Hall, effective immediately. Michael Ahern, 78 Hillside Ave. His term will expire on April 1st, 2023. Patricia Lee, 205 Edgemere Road. Her term will expire on April 1st, 2023. Tan Van Malik, 97 Lafayette Park. His term will expire on April 1st, 2024. Patty Pendexter, 40 Sutcliffe Road. Her term will expire on April 1st, 2025. Bradley Goslin, 44 Linden Terrace. His term will expire on April 1st, 2025. I am also appointing the following members to serve on the Board of Trustees for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Their terms are effective immediately, and each will expire on October 1st, 2024. Cinda Don, 100 Sagamore Street. Jonathan Feinberg, 20 Red Rock Street. Lahib Lai, 76 Holyoke Street. Jamie McGrath, 86 Verona Street. And Sarai Zalata, 72 Holyoke Street. Sincerely, Mayor Jared C. Nicholson.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Alensug?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staubach?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes. Carries. Council appointments.
We have reappointments to the Lynn Traffic Commission expiring September 27th, 2024. James Brienzo, 35 Herschel Street, and Christopher Rowe, 86 Lockwood Road.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Alensug?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staubach?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes. Motion carries.
Now we also have appointments to the Wage Theft Committee. The City Council rep is Justin Ansowich, 451 Eastern Ave. The Mayor's Office, Drew Russo, 25 Bellevue Road. Building Trades person is Kathleen Santora, 63 Sutcliffe Road. Lynn Worker Center, Eduardo Perez, 111 Alley Street. Latino Business Association, Sergio Espinoza, 24 Mount Vernon Street. The New Lynn Coalition, Rosario del Rosario, 91 Proctor Street in Salem. The North Shore Labor Council, Yusuf Abdallah, 60 Westville Street in Boston. And the Chamber of Commerce rep is Patrick DeLulis, 7 Trevor Court in Reading.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
We have a second. Discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Alensug?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staubach?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes, motion carries. Just want to say, I know a few of the people are here tonight. I want to thank you guys and ladies for being on the board there. It's an important committee. I remember putting it on there, fighting for it, so thank you. Public hearings.
The first public hearing is regarding community development and the Lynn Housing Authority to allow public input to the city's home op allocation plan and the use of HUD appropriations for the home grant as authorized under the American Rescue Plan Act.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor, come on up to the podium. Is your name and address for the record?
Good evening. My name is Peggy Phelps. I'm the Director of Planning and Development for the Lynn Housing Authority and Neighborhood Development. My address is 46 Piedmont Street, Lynn, Mass. I'm here tonight to voice support of the home allocation plan for a very vulnerable population. It's mainly for the homeless population. We will have a few revisions to the plan that was submitted to the Lynn City Council after the public comment period is expired on October 1st. We have met with the Continuum of Care, and they offered some suggestions, and we are going to take them into an account. And those suggestions are, I'm going to read them so I don't mess them up. The first one is to allow at least 50% of all individuals or families served with the home ARP money that have incomes less than 30% of the area median income. And 2, 25% of the housing units and tenant-based rental assistance will be targeted specifically for persons or families who meet the HUD's definition of homeless. And any other comments that we receive prior to October 1st will also be incorporated into the revised allocation plan.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Just hang on for 1 second. Is there any questions or anything? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? That part of the hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Councilor Arlington.
Can I invite you again? So I reviewed the overview of this a packet that was given to us in our last meeting. Just for clarification, is this separate from ARPA money?
Yes, it is. The opera money came 3 different pathways. One was through the federal government, one was to cities and towns, and this particular money came through the entitlement grants for the city of Lynn by formula. So we receive CDBG money, home money, ESG money, and now we receive the home op money.
Thank you. This is a stupid question, but there's no stupid questions. The vulnerable populations, how do you distinguish?
It was written by HUD who the vulnerable populations are, and they're mainly homeless populations, people that are suffering from human trafficking. There's 4, I believe there's 4. I don't know them by heart, but I'll tell you what they are.
Right.
Hold on. Let's see. Are experiencing homelessness, at risk of homelessness, are fleeing or attempting domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking, and were formerly homeless or a part of any other vulnerable population.
So
That could include homeless veterans.
If somebody will go to your office and say, I've experienced one or more of this, is that person qualifies directly? Do we have a way to double check?
Yes, it has to be vetted.
Okay, vetted.
Yep.
Thank you. Last but not the least,
Sure.
do you have any outreach done for this?
Once the plan is approved and the money comes from HUD, we have to submit the home allocation plan to HUD. It's approved, then we receive the funding, and then we'll do the outreach at that point.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Council Alanson?
Yes.
Yes, Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Council Calucci absent, Council Field?
Yes.
Yes, Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Council Net?
Yes.
Yes, Council Starbird?
Yes.
Yes, Council Walsh?
Yes. Just want to thank the Housing Authority. Appreciate the work you guys do, and this is important. There's a lot of people that are in a lot of bad ways right now out there, so anything that you guys can do helps, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Public hearings to be set down.
Oh, we have one more public hearing.
Oh,
We
I'm
have a
sorry.
Petition of Bennett Brothers, Inc. for a sign permit at the Clock Tower Self-Storage on 330 Linway.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor, come on up to the podium, give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Sarah with Batten Brothers Signs in Wakefield, Mass. Here on behalf of Clock Tower Development and Skangus Realty for approval for a sign for Clock Tower Self-Storage located at 330 Linway. Clock Tower Development in Skangus recently renovated 3 floors and about 72,000 square feet of space there for the new facility scheduled to open this fall. The space was occupied previously by Greater Lynn Senior Services, but has been vacant for the better part of 3 years. The sign itself consists of 24-inch tall letters, white in color, with a logo component to the left, located on the west side of the building, which is set back approximately 550 feet from the Linway. So happy to answer any questions about the sign if I can.
All right, thank you. Can you just have a seat for a second in case anyone has any questions? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council? Councilor Hogan?
Yes, I went out to the site. It is 500 feet set back from the Linway. I toured the facility, and I see no problem, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Approve. Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Council Alanson?
Yes.
Yes, Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Council Calucci absent, Council Field?
Yes.
Yes, Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Council Net?
Yes.
Yes, Council Starbird?
Yes.
Yes, Council Walsh?
Yes. Motion carries. Public hearings will be set down.
We have the petition of National Grid to install one joint old pole at the intersection of Shepherd and LaGrange Terrace and on the sidewalk near 32 Shepherd Street. Petition of National Grid to install duct from existing pole in front of 65 Shepherd Street, continuing through the sidewalk to the property at 65 Shepherd Street. And we have the petition of Jefferson C. Hooper, 44 Summer Street in Nahant, for a laundromat located at 414 Broadway with hours of operation 7 days a week, 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Motion to set them down?
Motion to set them down. Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Set them down. Committees. Public Safety and Public Health. Councilor Barton.
Unanimous vote of committee. Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Licensing. Councilor Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a unanimous vote by the committee. I make a motion to approve those.
Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ways and Means. Councilor Net.
Yes, Mr. President. All unanimous vote by the committee. I make a motion to approve. Thank you.
Motion. We have a second. Could we read those for the record, please?
We have certified fund, $27,750 to the school department for the FC 734B evidence-based grant, early literature grant. $200,000 to the school department for the incubator Lynn grant. $80,000 to the school department for the McKinley-Vento grant. We also have laid over orders from the September 13th meeting. $300,000 from the capital staff expense to fund work done at Barry Park and offset the state grant funding. $75,000 from reserve to planning expense to fund a project not budgeted for while preparing the FY23 operational budget. $15,000 from comp expense to comp prior year bill. $9,597.78 from care of dogs and police expense for a prior year bill. $6,000 from the assessor's expense to assessor's prior year bill. $3,988.59 from DPW expense to prior year bill. $1,053.86 from ISD expense for a prior year bill. $517.81 from DPW for a prior year bill. $453.14 from the fire department expense for a prior year bill. $293.76 from DPW to DPW for a prior year bill. $210 from collector's expense for a prior year bill. $30.39 from the clerk expense to the clerk's prior year bill.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Alanson.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci absent. Counsel Field.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey. Yes. Counsel Net.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben.
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh.
Yes. Public Properties, Councilor Staben. Since I missed it, sorry, apparently I need glasses today. I missed two things.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two items on our agenda. Request from the Health Department to use the foyer front steps in the grassy area in front of City Hall for the first annual Recovery Month celebration on Tuesday, September 27th, 2022. Unanimous vote of the committee. Motion to approve.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Second, Mr. President, request from North Shore Juneteenth Association to use the foyer during the month of February 2023. Hold the Black Excellence Awards on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Install Lynn Black Excellence banners in the foyer in anticipation of the February 7th event, and to leave the display up for public viewing during the remainder of the Black History Month. They have done this in the past. Unanimous vote of the committee. Motion to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is that it?
That's all, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you.
Utilities, Councilor Arlingsu.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a public hearing and a discussion and education session today with National Grid and a conversation with the residents of various areas of the city about issues about power outages. It was a healthy conversation, and we have a unanimous vote for the committee. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else?
That's all,
That's
Mr.
it?
President.
All right. Any other business? Any old business? Okay, Councilor Field.
Some new business. We just want to, on behalf of Councilor Chakutis and I, co-chairs of the Litter Committee. We've begun our fall cleanups. They've been successful. We appreciate everybody volunteering, but hope to use this public forum to announce that we'll continue doing those for the next 7 Saturdays from 9 to 11. This upcoming Saturday, October 1st, will be at Gallagher Park. We just had a successful one this past Saturday with Councilor Hogan in Ward 6 at Warren Street, and been to Barry Park. We've been to High Rock Park so far this fall, and we appreciate anybody volunteering their time to help keep our city clean. So those park cleanups can be found on our website, the city, every Saturday from 9 to 11. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other new business? I just have one thing. I want to wish my wife a happy birthday. Seems like every time I'm up here, there's something going on. My anniversary was 2 weeks ago, and her birthday's today, so I'm never home.
She must love you.
So yeah, she's not going to be happy about that either, but it's okay. So we're moving forward.
Happy birthday.
We have a motion from the council.
Motion to adjourn.
Your motion
Second.
adjourned, second. In favor? Aye.
That our committee gets such little respect when it comes to new postings like this, and the urgency. Could you go over the urgency here again?
Yeah, and I'm just going to jump in a little bit on the process because I think